Hi and welcome back to the course. In this video we're going to be installing PostgreSQL on our server. If you are on Mac, or on any other Unix operating system, then you can connect to this server via your terminal. So what I've done here on the Mac is opened up a terminal and I'm going to connect to the server from here. If you're on Windows, or if you don't have any SSH options on Windows, which you won't normally, then you can connect via the web interface. In both cases, it's the same thing, so you'll have to do the same commands. I'm connecting via a terminal. If you're on Windows, you can connect via the website using the Access Console option that we saw in the last video. So what we're going to do is type the command ssh space and then root at and then the server address. Now here I'm being asked for my password, but if it's the first time you log in, it will ask you about authentication if you want to trust that this server is who it says it is. And in that case, you should type yes, and it will let you connect. Okay, then type in your password, and even if you don't see anything appearing there, I have typed my password, your password has been typed, just press enter at the end, and if you put the correct password in, it will let you in. Even though nothing's appearing while you type, that's just for security purposes. Once that's done, you are essentially logged in as the root user. The root user in Unix, such as Ubuntu, CentOS, Mac, and so on, the root user is very important because it is the super user. It has power to do anything. Okay, so we're going to learn in a later video how to avoid logging in as the root user, but for now we're going to stick with the root user for just a moment. We're going to do apt-get update. And what this is going to do, it is going to tell apt, the Ubuntu package manager, to find out if there are any updates available for anything we've got installed in the server. It's not going to actually update the packages, it's just going to find out if there are any updates available, and there are a few, because I've run this before. As you can see, it says up here that 21 packages can be updated. Okay. While we can update these packages, it's not imperative that we do so right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to install PostgreSQL. And fortunately in Ubuntu, we can do so via the same package manager. So we're going to do apt-get install, and then PostgreSQL is one of the packages we want to install. And then separated by a space, we can put another package that we also want to install. So we're going to install two packages simultaneously. The second package is PostgreSQL-contrib. Okay. So we're going to install those two, and here at the end, it asks you if you want to continue, because we're about to download stuff, and that's going to use up our disk space. These servers, the cheap servers, $5 a month, have 20 gigabytes of storage, and here we're going to use 20 megabytes, so that's not a lot. In Unix, whenever you are asked a question, there may be a capital letter and a lowercase, so an uppercase letter and a lowercase letter. The uppercase letter is the default. So if we just press enter, that is the same as if we typed Y. So we can just press enter and that accepts the default because that's the uppercase letter up there. And then it's installing all of the stuff. Okay. Okay, so we've installed PostgreSQL, and as you can see up here, we've created a new PostgreSQL cluster, a new server that's running PostgreSQL, and it's running locally on port 5432, which is the default port for PostgreSQL. Okay. Now, when we install PostgreSQL, it also creates another user on our server. So right now we've got the root user, which is what we're logged in as, but when we install PostgreSQL, it adds another user to our server. That user is the one who owns PostgreSQL, owns the PostgreSQL installation. Okay, so we're going to change over to that user. We're going to say, instead of being logged in as the root user, we're going to swap over and be logged in as the Postgres user. So what we have to do is type in sudo -i-u Postgres. The Postgres user is the one that has been created. And what we're saying here is we want to log in as this user here. And as you can see, now things have changed, and instead of root at our server, we see Postgres at our server, because we are now the Postgres user. Okay? What this means is that we can now type PSQL, and this connects to the PostgreSQL database. Notice that we don't have any tables or anything like that yet, so there's no data in here. The Postgres user has connected to PostgreSQL, and it's connected to one specific database, and it has created a database. Every user in Postgres automatically connects to a Postgres database with the same name as the user. So here what we've done is we've created a PostgreSQL database called Postgres. And when we run the psql command, we connect to the database that is called the same as our user. So effectively, we've connected to the Postgres database. And as you can see here, we've connected to the Postgres database. At any point, we can press, the backslash, which is that symbol there, and then con.info, and that tells us some connection info. You are connected to database Postgres. As you can see, I just told you we created that database as the user Postgres, which is the user that we logged in as, via the socket var run PostgreSQL in port 5432, which is the default. So hopefully up till now, everything kind of makes sense. And what we have done now is we have connected to the PostgreSQL server. We've installed PostgreSQL. And in here, we can do things like run Postgres commands, create table, items, blah, 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 if we wanted. However, we know that our application is going to do that for us, so we don't have to worry about running SQL commands ourselves, which is good. At any point, we can also type \q, and that exits the psql process. It leaves the database and goes back to the Unix terminal. And at any point, we can press then exit, and that will log out of the Postgres user and go back to being the root user. Okay, so what we did is we logged in as Postgres, we accessed the Postgres database, and then we've logged out and we are back to being the root. In the next video, we're going to be creating a user so that we don't have to log in as root, and so we don't have to use the Postgres user to access PostgreSQL. We're going to create another user with access. So I'll see you in the very next video.